far more is required when the government is carrying out this policy in areas outside of traditionally recognized armed conflict. You know that we disagree with the legal framework that is being used, the law of war framework, as opposed to the human rights framework that we, and I think virtually the rest of the world, think actually applies. So when we're moving further and further away, as this government continues to be doing, as this administration continues to be doing, far more needs to be done, not just with respect to the transparency, but also with respect to accountability, and thinking about moving back from what we actually haven't touched enough on, although I should have pressed on this a little bit more and tried to do this, which is not necessarily the Bush administration's global war on terror, but something that has more legal language around it, but in practice looks very little different with respect to the ramifications of borderless conflict without geographical or temporal limitations. And I think that is the greater danger of this program and how it is being perpetuated. The second thing that I think is important is something I read in the Washington Post. So, which, something along the lines of talking about how President Obama didn't want to expand his footprint in various, the government's footprints in various armed conflicts, and so drones, the use of remotely piloted aircraft, the use of strikes are the other alternative. Maybe that's related to precision. And the article ended with the fact that, or the assertion, that this has rendered America's wars invisible to Americans. And I think that is a very dangerous proposition for any kind of democracy, because the costs of what's happening are actually continuing to be borne strategically and otherwise. There are any number of reasons that Congress has turned into a failure on this. More can be done in other ways. But going down this path is really goes to the fundamentals of rule of law and abiding by this rule of law. And whatever may be invisible to Americans, and I'm not sure it's that invisible, it is not invisible in the countries in which we carry out these strikes.